Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode. Today, I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking to somebody who I've looked forward to speaking to for a long time. And that gentleman is otherwise known as Fuzzy, whose real name is, of course, Justin. But Fuzzy, you're kind of one of the originals from the DPOS movement. And then, of course, a founder of BitShares, along with Dan. I also know that, you've kind of taken a role in the Warbly project. And I wanted to ask you, what's kind of the most exciting aspect of the Warbly project to you?
See, I've thought about this question, and I've come up with three of them. Okay, and we'll cover them a little bit, I think, as we discuss this. But I think three things, and I'll make it quick for you. KYC, insurance, and inter-blockchain communication, I think, are the things that excite me the most about Warbly, simply because those types of things are absolutely foundational elements to the blockchain industry in general, and we don't have a whole lot of them yet, right? We don't really have, we're still focusing primarily on the scaling debate in the rest of crypto, and since we're so far beyond that in the delegated proof of stake ecosystem and the EOS ecosystem, we're at this place where these things are actually within our grasp. And that's, I think, brings us head and shoulders above any of the competition. In terms of technology, I don't see how anything that's still worrying about block size competes with those three things. That's what I would say. Maybe in a few years they'll figure out that that's something that's important for them. But up until this point, none of the technology makes it possible, right?
Sure. For sure. Why do you think Warbly ultimately could be kind of an asset to the EOS ecosystem? Of course, Warbly has, as you said, it has AML KYC. How do you think that might be advantageous to the actual mainnet in itself?
Well, I think that first thing that makes it an asset is that it's interested in cross-chain, right? It's interested in creating those connections and those synergies, kind of like interstate commerce, right? States that work together, they find that there's a lot of economic benefits to working together. And that's kind of one of the powers of DPOS that, again, talking about block size and proof of work, we're able to start talking about how these blockchains will synergize and form Voltron, kind of like I like to show on my shirt here, right? Because DPOS, the secret power to it that I keep telling people in our EOS talks and everywhere, really, is inter-block capability. Because they're so fast, so scalable, that once you go on the DPOS chain and they're all interlocked and working together and interconnected, why would you ever leave DPOS? Why would you ever get proof of work, right? Because you can do everything you need in DPOS ecosystems. And if you can't on EOS mainnet, you might be able to specifically on Warbly because they have specific intents to help people in certain areas, right? So I think that that's one of the things that Warbly becomes an asset because they're focusing on a very specific area, right? And I think that's one of the most powerful aspects is recognizing that opportunity, having the technology, and having a community that's interested in pushing it forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good answer. I totally agree with you. It's going to be interesting. We've got the launch coming up pretty soon, so I'm pretty excited for that, of course. What do you think would kind of be paramount for the team in order to be able to make this launch a success?
Well, I would say obviously we continue working hard and cooperating, which I'm there for the meetings. I see them growing and continuing to cooperate and working hard. And they have a checklist on their site that they're, checking off all the stuff that needs to get done. They're going to continue adding to it. So I think doing those things are some of the most important because it's a level of transparency and self-accountability that they're achieving with that. But they're also working together as a community to kind of push that agenda and that got love.
No, I do love it. That's awesome.
I like that. So they have a community that is very interested in this effort. So not only do you have people from EOS who are very interested in creating a lot of value, but you also have this idea that they're going to push out something that's going to be its own entity, right? So if they are doing this, and they are, I'm watching it. I saw the website that they're going to launch with, right? It's beautiful. I love it. If they do these things, I don't think it's going to be a hard stretch to say that it's going to be successful. There's a lot of people watching it already. If they do those types of things to launch, I think that's a key. And then, of course, the other things that you're going to definitely want to watch: KYC, insurance. See if any one of those becomes something that's like really working and being used, man. I'm happy about it. I'm really, really happy about it, because those would be kind of like industry. I don't want to say industry first, because there's always like somebody who's done it in a centralized way that's kind of working, or somebody who's done it in a different way that's not cryptoized. But I don't know. And I definitely don't know of one in crypto that really does this well and can scale, right? That's again, the key. And if they offer those things, I don't want to say, I want to say value. And value brings us to awesome places in the universe, right?
Absolutely.
Moon, stars, wherever we go, it's going to be valuable.
I want to touch on something that you said. You mentioned that you talked a little bit about differences, right? Of course, they've made some differences in the actual governance to accommodate for kind of a smooth launch and a stable model. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's one of those ones, because I'm a very idealistic person, right? I love the disruptive space. And all of us, the aspect that's disruptive about crypto, because let's face it, we're in a time when we've got this amazing technology. We have so many who don't have enough, just the basics of what they need. And we have this like almost cognitive dissonance as a society that we're living in, right? Like, how does that emerge? How does that happen? But at the same time, I think we focus so much on the disruption sometimes that we forget that there are existing businesses, right? I hear it's hard to say disruption on one hand and mass adoption on the other, right? It's hard to bake those into the same cake.
Sure.
What you kind of need to do is maybe a good example is, I like eating cake. I need to eat more protein cake, right? So if I can trick myself into eating cake that is made with protein and it tastes pretty good and I can deal with it, it's better for me, right? So if we can kind of give blockchain to businesses who otherwise might be afraid to use it because, God forbid, we don't have KYC or insurance, just things like that, right? If they're afraid to use it, how do we form that bridge? And sometimes we have to form a bridge, which means we have to kind of find a middle ground. And what I think that they were trying to do with Warbly, and one of the reasons I was very interested in it, was they're trying to bring blockchain to businesses in a way that it's safer for them. They're not afraid to use it. And then it kind of becomes a Trojan horse into crypto, where they're like, oh, that is so amazing what we can do with this, this, and this. Thank God we joined this. Now we can do this and this, right? It opens up opportunities because they don't have to worry about all the risks that come with blockchain, but they can get some of the benefits of the disruption. But at the same time, Worbly doesn't like suck as a vacuum, suck all the value out of all the decentralized and extra disruptive chains, because they have interoperability, right? So I think that would be probably my answer, would be making sure that businesses feel safe to test and play with the blockchain, build with the blockchain, and create value there and exist there. It's going to boil it down into one of my non-word salad fuzzy rants.
I love your fuzzy rants.
Thank you.
You touched on something there as well, and you kind of spoke about providing value to businesses. But I think, at least in my opinion, that the fact that we finally have like an insured wallet, of course, which comes hand in hand with AML, KYC. Do you think that could potentially help spur adoption by users, just kind of having that guarantee that their funds are going to be secure?
One of the things that, for me, and I think everybody it was a pretty salient moment in EOS, was when wallets were hacked and the community came together to freeze accounts and give the tokens back, right? So that's something that caused a lot of concern and volatility in the community in terms of like people were upset about it. Some were not too worried about it, but everybody was generally passionate on one side. Some sat in the middle, but not many. And everybody was loud about it, right? That's something that would scare somebody into building on EOS if they have a business that's already, it's not like cutting edge innovation. It's something that the world exists right now. They're not, they're afraid of cutting edge, but they want to be right behind it, right? They want to use the stuff that's been tested and is right past the bleeding edge where most of the risk is gone, right? And I think that is where that space of insurance really shines is if we don't have to worry, you have insurance already that you can voluntarily be part of. Kind of like I was even talking to Bytemaster about it in one of the telegrams I was saying it, was Bytemaster's talked about it for so long, insurance on the blockchain, right? The most powerful use cases. One of the things that I wanted to see the most is insurance on a blockchain because my mom likes her bank because of the FDIC, right? Like those types of insurance. They like the security and they're willing to take a little bit of their money to provide that security. And I think that is like, I would say it's probably key. KYC, I don't think is key to my mom downloading it. It's probably just key to the experience being really good for her and being compliant for various businesses to work with her, right? But the real key to it, in my opinion, is going to be the insurance because if she loses her funds, my mom ain't back. She'll actually probably go on some places on Facebook and say how she doesn't like it. But if there's insurance and she can get into cryptocurrencies and feel safe while also being part of something that could give back to her quite a bit, I think it's mass adoption central. I do. That's where I stand on it. Of course, there's going to be businesses that need to be part of that too. It's not just my mom, but what are businesses going to do? What my mom would want them to do, right? So I think that's at the heart of all of it, without giving too many analogies with my mom in it.
I love it, my friend. Fuzzy, I wanted to take the time just to say thank you so much for coming on and just having a quick chat about Warbly with me. Of course, the airdrop is coming up soon, the share drop rather, and things are heating up. So I'm excited. The future looks good, man. And just thank you as always. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll say thank you to everybody who's been part of EOS and part of Warbly. The people who are out there busting their butts, everybody, people like you, Matt, if you guys can share their content and tell people about what they're doing, you're helping people who are spending a lot of time trying to help you and what you care about get visibility. So I just want to make it very clear that we all have something of value, even if you don't have a lot of money. Just telling somebody, hey, I listened to these hangouts, these interviews, and I love them. Listen to it, check it out. Can be one of the biggest things you can do, even if you don't have funding. And let's face it, teaching people is at the heart of what we're trying to get past, which is FUD and all that. Talk about stuff that might not really take us to the moon where everybody really wants to go. So thank you very much, Matt. And I hope everybody does take that into heart and share the content that you're doing, man, because you're working hard and I see it.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Much love as always. I look forward to chatting with you again sometime soon.
Anytime.
Bye, buddy.